Hello, good evening. My name is Richard. This is over and over and over again. This is Match Review Live. Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 0. It's just finished at the Etihad as well. Manchester City 5, Wolves 1. This title race is going to go down to the last day, isn't it? So it looks that way. We win, they win. It's all happened, isn't it? A lot to talk about in this game, actually. The Arsenal game earlier today, wasn't there? We are going to get into it, the other side of this. So it was quite an eventful game, wasn't it, at the Emirates at lunchtime today. It did, of course, end up as we hoped it would, as we probably expected it to in many ways. Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 0. But I don't think that really told the full story of the game, did it? There were so many incidents happened and so many talking points in the game. So we are going to get into it. And, of course, joining us is our big friend of the show. As always, it is, of course, Neil. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on. How are you, Rich?
Well, yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad at all. It's not a bad time to be an Arsenal fan at this moment, is it? But
no.
Still, it seems like a long way to go, even though there's not a long way to go. It feels like a long way to go still, doesn't it? I mean, obviously, Man City have just won their game. I kind of expected them to. Wolves at home, you'd imagine Man City will win that game. So no real surprises there. They're winning games quite comfortably at the minute as well. But let's not worry too much about Man City for the time being. We can't do anything about the results. They take care of them. We can only take care of ours. And today we did take care of ours, didn't we? Now there was a lot of talking points in the game. A lot of incidents happened. I don't think anybody's got any doubt that the result was the right result. Probably a fair reflection of the game over the 95 minutes. But it was a bit of a strange game, wasn't it? I mean, what did you make of the performance overall? I mean, the first half was really good, I thought. Second half, not quite so good, but we got the job done fairly comfortably in the end, didn't we?
I thought the first half we were doing everything right, apart from putting the ball in the net. Really, yeah. It was getting a little bit worrying. I wasn't overly concerned, Rich, but it was one of those where you think, is this one of those days where we're going to hit, try and hit the target 25 times and off target another 15 times and end up with no goals? You do get that kind of feeling, don't you? I mean, there was. Yeah. I think at the end of the match, Rich, every single outfield player had a shot on target. That's crazy when you think about it. And it's not surprising. I mean, even Saliba was in at one point. I couldn't believe what's he doing there. He's looking like a proven striker. And I was like, hang on a minute. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I thought the team selection is right. The only one that I may have changed was Martinelli for Trossard. But to be honest, you see, with Trossard, I feel that he reminds me a bit of what Giroud used to do. Giroud, I think, was always better as an impact sub. I don't know if you recall. I felt that his performances were better coming on as a substitute. And I sometimes feel that about the same, a little bit similar with Trossard as well. That I think that when he used to come on, something always used to happen. If you remember, every single time he'd come on, he wouldn't waste his time on the pitch. He would make things happen, whether it result in a goal or not, or an assist or not. He added a different dimension to his game. But when he starts, I'm not so sure that he's effective. But actually, as it transpired, I mean, he scored a wonderful goal in the second half. So who am I to say anything, Rich? It's just a fan's opinion, isn't it, at the end of the day? But apart from that, I was really happy with the team. I mean, I'm so pleased that Partey has come back fit at this point in the season where we really need all our players. Actually, now it's been announced that Timber's even ready to play, but I don't think it's a good idea to play him yet. I think we just leave him for the next season. However, when was the last time, Rich, that you could say that Arsenal had a fully fit team? I can't recall. I cannot recall, mate. It's incredible. And it's what Partey is doing. And as good as Jorginho has been at that position as the six, it's allowed Rice so much more freedom. And that was telling in the last goal. I mean, he was if you look at the highlights, he's not even in the picture, Rice. And then all of a sudden he's streaming forward. And what a great move from him. But I'm really happy with the setup. I was really happy with the first first half performance. And it's one of those, we get that penalty. You know, there was some debate over it. I think it was a penalty. There was contact, whether, you know, High left a training left, but that's what a lot of strikers do these days, you know, to get that contact. But contact was made. I think it was the right decision at the end of the day, and we managed to get the penalty at the right time. But what was so good about it was Xhaka's calmness. I mean, that was such a pressure penalty, Rich, and his calmness was just, he acted as if it was nothing. It was just an empty net that he had to shoot into. He's just incredible, that kid. And then you're right. The second half, I think what happens. I think, look, let's not forget one thing just before I finish this bit. Bournemouth are a good side, Rich. If you look at their record, they were almost matching us as well in terms of, you know, I think they've got 20 points in the last I think this calendar year or something. We've got 22. They're on equal terms with Manchester City, and I don't think they've not scored. And the last time they didn't score was, I think, last year at some point at the beginning of the season. So you know, they're no mugs. They're a really good team, and I wouldn't have expected anything less from them. And they were trying. They had some chances. I think our defence held well on the most part. But you're right. I think we lost a little bit of momentum and progression in the second half. But actually, it's the second half that produced, you know, 2 goals from open play, which is the irony. Whereas we couldn't get one in the first half, which we dominated. So it was one of those kind of games. The main thing is we've got the job done. We can only do what we can do. Yeah, City, not surprised at all. I mean, they've closed the goal difference again by another 4, haven't they? And I don't know where they're going to drop points, Rich. I mean, you can't ask Tottenham ain't going to do any favours. They'll roll over and lose 10-0 if it needs to be done. But I think, you know, we've just got to carry on doing what we're doing. And if it means we don't win the title, but we still win the last 2 games, that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the one big thing this season, and, you know, winning the league is not easy, no matter who you're up against, whether it's Man City or whoever it is, makes no difference. Winning a league over 38 games is not easy in any league. And and I'm, you know, and I don't think any of us sort of could turn around and say, oh yeah, we're definitely going to win the league. We're definitely going to win the league. But all we can do is we can just make the best effort of it that we possibly can. And all I wanted to see us do, you know, when it was looking, you know, Christmas and that, it was looking a bit out of our hands, wasn't it? We looked a bit out of it, and all we could really do was try and get ourselves back in it. And what we've done is we have learned from last season. We have learned from the mistakes that we made in the run-in last season. And, you know, it may not be enough, as we've said. It may not be, but we can't have done much more. Yes, the Aston Villa game will always one that will stick in our minds and say that the team selection that day, the way we set up in that game was, you know, I think it came between the 2 Bayern Munich games, and I think that distracted us too much from that Aston Villa game. And oh, hang on 2 seconds. I don't know what's going on. It's happened a couple of times. Right. Oh, here we go. It's better. But yeah. So we can't really have done much more. Look at our run of results since we lost to Fulham. We can't have done much more. We couldn't have done any more, really. Yes, the Aston Villa games, I said, but you're never going to win every single match. And it's just, you know, Liverpool suffered, didn't they? They got 97 points the other year, didn't win the league. We could well end up with, 89 this season, and it won't be enough to win the league. And I don't think we can be too disappointed if that's what happens, because we can't, you know, 89 points on the back of, what was it, 88 we got last season, I think, didn't we? So, you know, they're 2 good seasons back to back, and we're going to come second probably twice back to back, you know, and it's frustrating, and it's obviously disappointing, but I don't think we can feel too bad about this season. I think last season the circumstances were different, and I think that we did capitulate at the crucial time. This season we haven't, and it's still not enough, probably. You know, but I thought today, I thought it was, I mean, it was strange really, because in that first half we could have scored 4 or 5 goals, and we were so dominant, and in the end it took a rather fortunate penalty. I think it was a fortunate penalty. It's a sort of penalty where if the ref didn't give it, VAR won't overturn it and give it. And because he did give it, again, they wasn't going to overturn it and not give it. It's one of those, isn't it? I mean, yes, there was contact. Havertz has gone to play the contact, hasn't he? Because really, he could have got out of the way. We didn't, not so much get out of the way, but he didn't need to go over, did he? The goalkeeper didn't foul him. He's left his leg in and got caught, which we've seen happen so many times, and they are giving us penalties quite a lot. But it was definitely a soft penalty, and it was strange that gave us the breakthrough. when we'd missed so many good opportunities before that to score. And, you know, although you could look and say, well, okay, yeah, that was lucky, the penalty to a certain degree, but we should have been 4-0 up anyway. But when you're chasing a title and every game's important, and I think the second half, what happened was, the way I saw it was, Bournemouth came more into the game and they played well in the second half. They had some chances and they caused us a few problems. And what that meant was we then had created a bit more space because they were pushing on a little bit, looking for an equaliser. And that's what the second goal came about, really, wasn't it? It was a kind of a counter-attack, and we obviously the quality that we've got. And the third goal, again, I think by that point, Bournemouth kind of resigned themselves to the fact that they had lost. And, you know, we took extra risks, didn't we? Because it was 2-0 and we got the third goal. And it was that sort of a game. And when you're chasing a title, these are the games that you're going to expect to get. No team's going to roll over. You know, you saying Tottenham are going to roll over Man City. They won't roll over. I'm not saying they're good enough to beat them or get a result.
It was tongue in cheek. Rich.
Yeah, I know. You know, so I expected Bournemouth to be a challenge today. And at half time, I'm thinking, well, you know, luckily we got the lead right at the very end of the first half. And I thought that was going to be the platform then to go on in the second half. But you rightly said, credit to Bournemouth, because they're a good side. They play good football. And in the end, they could easily have got something from the game. I mean, obviously, there was the penalty incident, which was a little bit controversial. And then, of course, there was the goal that Bournemouth had disallowed just after we got the second one, when we'd looked a little bit nervy, and then they got a goal. I mean, what did you make of that? To me, goalkeepers are overprotected. We know that anyway. Do you think that was enough of a foul to be disallowed? Or did you think maybe Bournemouth was slightly unfortunate there?
Okay. I actually think the penalty was more of a penalty, the correct decision, more than their disallowed goal was, if that makes sense. He does. He does kind of nudge Raya, not out the way, because Raya still manages to get a punch on the ball. But I don't know if it was enough. I don't know. I think to be honest, for me, from where I saw it, that we were more lucky on that one than we were on the penalty. So, because by the letter of the law, I know what you mean. You know, if Kai went looking for it or whatever, but a lot of strikers do that. A lot of forwards do that, and it's in the law. So until they change it, I can't see anything wrong with what Kai did. He's playing the game. But the shove on Raya, I don't think it was massive, to be honest. If it was enough to have actually, you know, made it impossible for him to get any contact with the ball, then I would have said disallowed goal all day long. But because he was still able to punch the ball, maybe not as effectively as he could have done, but he still was able to make contact with it, I'm not so sure. But at the end of the day, Rich, we've got to ride our luck as well. There's so many times we get the wrong end of it. You look at the foul on Saka. I thought that was a red card, if not a yellow at least. But nothing was given. Yeah. I mean, it was a high foot, studs out, and he was injured. You could see the gash on his leg. Now, again, you know, we've had one only a couple of games ago, the one on Tomiyasu, which could have, you know, that could have been a horrific challenge. Well, it was a horrific challenge, but it could have been a lot worse for the player. So I think, you know, if you look at it that way, I know they're two different things, and, you know, one mistake doesn't mean another mistake should happen, and, you know, it's overlooked. But all I'm saying is about luck. If you look at luck, we've had a bit of luck this game. They've had a bit of luck this game, because they could have been down to 10 men, I think, potentially. If another VAR team or a ref saw it differently, the guy could have been off. And he made so many fouls and didn't get anything for it. Yeah, so he could have had 2 yellows. Even if that wasn't a yellow, if that wasn't a straight red, that should have been a yellow. And then he could have had a couple of, and he got a yellow anyway eventually. I think it was a long time into the match. But, you know, essentially they could have been down to 10 men. So I think I agree with you. I think that was probably a bit soft, the penalty. I think we were a little bit lucky there. For their goal, rather. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. For their goal, which they converted, but it wasn't allowed. So I think we were a little bit lucky. Were we 2-0 at the time? Was it 1-0 at that time? I can't remember.
It was 2-0. We'd only just got the second goal, just literally before.
So it went in our way in that respect, because can you imagine when you're 2-0 up and then a team gets one back, very much like Tottenham did the other day, with Raya needlessly giving that ball away. It got their wind in themselves, and they were 3-0 down, and they could have actually drawn. So it would have definitely changed the dynamic of the match. So I think we were a little bit fortunate, yes, but obviously I'll take it all day long.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, I don't think that's a foul anywhere else on the pitch. It's hardly any contact. There's a slight little bit of contact, yes, but he should be allowed to challenge for the ball. Solanke anyone should be allowed to challenge for the ball in that scenario, shouldn't he? The goalkeeper didn't have it in his hand. It was in the air. It was there to be won. And I thought it was a goalkeeping error by Raya. He kind of attacked it with the wrong arm, I thought, anyway, to punch it. And it was a poor clearance, and it resulted in a goal. And we were lucky there. I think we were lucky, and we'll never know what difference that would have made to the rest of the game. But at 2-1, with there was 20 odd minutes to play at that point still, it could have been a very different outcome, because Bournemouth had been playing well up till then anyway. We got the second goal on a counter attack, and then if that goes in, who knows? And I was amazed it actually was disallowed. When I saw replays of it, I'm thinking, he's hardly touched him. He's hardly touched him. And if it was a defender against a defender, there's no foul there whatsoever. And the goalkeeper's got an advantage in the first place, because he can use his hand to punch it away. So he's actually got an advantage already. And it wasn't like he was impeded enough to stop that advantage. He made a bit of a meal of that punch himself. And I was shocked that was disallowed. When it went in, I saw the replay, I thinking that's a goal all day long. It's a goal. And we were lucky. You're right. We were lucky there. And I do feel sometimes as though these are the type of decisions that go the way of a team that's challenging for the title. Whoever it is, whether it's us, whether it's City, whether it's Liverpool, in the old days, Man United, they always seem to get those slightly iffy decisions in the crucial games at crucial points in the season. We always used to moan about it when Man United used to do it. Man City.
We lost Rich. He's back.
Oh, I don't know what's happening here.
Is it me or you?
No, I think it's. I don't know. It seems to be. I seem to be losing some connection from my camera to the laptop.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why, but anyway, hopefully it won't happen again. I do feel as though sometimes it's the teams like Man City's penalty today. They got a slightly soft penalty as well, and I think these are decisions that other teams. I mean, Nottingham Forest, for example, last week they had about 5 penalties they could have had, didn't get any of them. We get a penalty like that, we're at the top of the league. Man City get a penalty like that. That goal gets disallowed, and I don't know. I just feel as though our referees, those decisions seem to favour the teams at the top of the league more often than not. But we'll take it, as you said, all day long. I'm not bothered about it. But I do think that the funny thing was that I do laugh. I have a laugh on Twitter because. Obviously our penalty was soft, and all the Arsenal fans on Twitter were saying, "Oh no, definite penalty." And then Man City's penalty is, you can't give a penalty for that. I'm like, hang on a minute, look at our penalty. You weren't moaning about that one, were you, 3 hours ago? It just seems funny, really. I just like to try and look at it from the point of view where if that was given against us, I would have been fuming. If that penalty, the Havertz one, had been given against us, I would have been fuming. If that goal had been disallowed that we had scored, I would have been absolutely fuming. And just because those decisions went in our favour doesn't mean we should suddenly say, oh, well, VAR's all right. We like VAR today because it helps us out. Because that's not right. Because I want to see right decisions. We should be getting right decisions. If it so happens that a right decision is against us, then that's the way it is. That's football, isn't it? We can't just accept bad decisions that go in our favour and then criticise bad decisions that go in other teams' favours or go against us in other games. I don't know. I just think we need to look at it a bit more.
It should be fair, Rich. It should be fair and consistent. Look, end of the day, I'm going to be biased. I'm an Arsenal fan. I can't help but be biased. I am, because at the moment, the way the system is, there is a lot of decisions that we go against us as well that shouldn't do. And then, yes, we get some our way as well. But until it is consistent, Rich, all round fair for every single club in the league, I'm still going to probably just say, well, I'll take it because, all right, I might not make a song and dance about it, but I'm going to take it because, we have our fair share of bad ones as well. So, but they do need to fix it. You're right. What you're saying, you're talking from a football, you've got your football fan glasses on or your football fan hat on, and that's absolutely right. And that's absolutely correct as well. End of the day, everyone should have an equal footing in the game. Otherwise, it becomes unfair. And then, you'd get the conspiracy theories and things like that. But I do feel, I still will say this, and again, my bias might be coming out, we have had a big chunk of unfair decisions go against us as well. I'm not just talking about this game, I'm just talking generally. So it kind of does leave a little bit of a bitter taste in your mouth. But yeah, it is what it is. Look, end of the day, look, it's worked out in our favour, and we've got to accept it. We just got to take it with both hands. We could do with all the help we can get, because I'll tell you something, we're not going to get much from Man City. That's for sure.
No, we're not. And I don't know. I mean, I've stopped. I've stopped really worrying about Man City's results because I expect them to win anyway. And that's pretty much not just now. I've expected that for the last 3 or 4 seasons. You expect Man City to win their games, especially their home games. If they're playing anyone at home other than maybe Liverpool a couple of years ago or us now, or, you know, most teams, you expect them to win their home games. Absolutely you do. And you expect them to win most of their away games as well. When you look at the 2 away games they've got left, which are both against London teams, Fulham and Tottenham, I'd be amazed if they don't win both of them as well. Let's be honest. I'd be absolutely shocked. But I suppose it's that kind of hope, I suppose, at the back of your mind, thinking, what if they do? There's always a chance, isn't there? Every game is a different. Every game starts at 0-0. Every game could go either way, and things happen in games. Decisions, as we've been speaking about, can go either way sometimes, and anything can happen in a 90-minute game of football. And there's always that chance that, maybe Fulham have had a strange season. They've had some brilliant performances, and they've had some shocking performances as well, haven't they? You never know what you're going to get with Fulham. And should they turn up with their top performance, as they did against us, there's a chance. But,
come on, Leno. Give us a favour for your old club. Do us a favour.
That's what he needs to do, doesn't he? He needs to save everything, doesn't he? But and Iwobi as well. Iwobi needs to bang one in, doesn't he? And Willian. I'm sure Willian wants to help out Arteta because they got on so well, didn't they?
They got a good relationship. Yes, of course, of course.
Willian will try and help us out, won't he? But yeah, I mean, it's a strange one, really, isn't it? Because I think we know deep down Man City are probably going to win their games and are probably going to win the league, and we are probably going to fall just short again for the second season in a row. But you can see, can't you, this season that the progression, and we touched on Declan Rice before. I thought him today, he was incredible, wasn't he? Yet again, I mean, we say it every week near enough, but he was incredible today, wasn't he, Declan? He covered every single bit of that grass today, probably 20 times each little blade he touched at least, didn't he? He was everywhere.
He's Rich. The engine on this man is just ridiculous. I mean, look,
yeah.
You sometimes, you know what I like about our team at the moment? I think at the end of every game, you can have probably a good, fair discussion of having several players of the match, which is only a good thing, because if there's 4 or 5, standout performances, that's fantastic, because then they're playing as a team and they're not just playing as an individual, which is what we want. But yeah, Declan Rice, I mean, he's just everywhere, isn't he? I actually thought. Because I think he was doing more off the ball stuff today than on the ball, and I thought, he's having a bit of a poor game, but no, he wasn't. He was actually doing very, very well. Yeah, and you think about it, he's ended up with an assist and a goal. The assist was terrific, by the way.
It was.
It was a reverse pass, wasn't it? It was so good. And then even if you think about his finish, that was a really well taken finish after he'd run literally the length of the pitch. It just goes to show how well he has taken to what we're trying to achieve here. He's completely adopted it. It's his first season, you've got to remember. And this and what I was saying, Saka's a remarkable young lad, but also Declan Rice, he's not that old if you think about it. He's got a lot of experience with his former club. But you think about, he's come to this club being our highest ever signing. We've broken the record with that. And a lot of players may have struggled with that initially. They may have taken a bit of time to bed in, but he got off and running right from the get-go, Rich. He's been probably, I would say, the most consistent player. Because even Saka's had dips here and there. Even Odegaard sometimes is a little bit not, sometimes he's so magnificent. I mean, some of the passes even today he was doing was just like, he's conducting everything in the first half for me. But I think if you look at it, barring maybe 1 or 2 of the defenders, he's been so consistent, Rich. Really has. And I actually think we have got him on the cheap now. I know football money is ridiculous anyway. We've said it so many times. It is ridiculous. No one should be worth 105 million. I don't think no one should be worth 50 million, to be honest. But that's me and my old age and old school mentality. But it is what it is. And then if you look at it relatively, I think we've got him actually not at a bad price. But you look at players like Trossard, 20 odd million. Odegaard was 29 million. I mean, we've got some blinding deals. And now, sorry to say this, Terry, but Kai Havertz is starting to prove his worth as well. Terry's going to hate me, but Kai's been brilliant, Richard. Come on, no one can deny that. I agree. If you look at his stats, when he's been playing at the 9, he's been almost literally flawless. Look at his figures. He's scored 15 goals now, and he's got a handful of assists. But even his presence physically, when he's holding the ball up, or he's a target man for the defence or rear. He's just there. He's always there. I mean, even that assist the other day against Tottenham, that was wonderful to Saka. He got it pinpoint at Saka's feet. So he's got a good vision as well. But I mean, I think he's in form at the moment, but I think his confidence is up. He's really confident with what he's doing. And the other interesting thing is, if you compare Rice at the 6 and compare Rice at the 8, you'll see that his figures at the 8 are far, far better. So we're so lucky to have either Partey or Jorginho taking that 6 role, because it's allowing Rice to really be the player that we want him to be. He's fantastic, Richard. I've got no more words to say.
Yeah. No, he is. And I mean, it's an interesting point about Kai Havertz, isn't it? Because I think at the start of the season, he was playing in 2 or 3 different positions. He seemed to change position every game. He was playing as a left 8. He was playing as a 10. He was playing as a 9. He was all over the place. And it never really seemed to be working. And it was like, I think we all was questioning, well, what is his role in the team? What's Arteta bought him for? He hasn't got a role particularly. He's just moving him about. And it's like we seem to have better players in all of those positions, better than him at that time, and he still kept getting picked in those positions, in different positions. And I'm like, it never made any sense. And suddenly now he's playing in this false 9, if you like. If you want to call it a false 9, I guess is what it is. And yes, you're right. He's been fantastic. He has been fantastic. There's no doubt. He's been one of the key reasons as to why our form since Christmas, and when he's basically moved into that role, he's one of the key reasons for that. His all-round links up with play. Yes, he does a few silly mistakes. He misses some chances, and gives the ball away a bit sloppy sometimes. But his role in the team now is clear. It's absolutely clear, and it's a shame that it took Arteta half a season to figure it out. Because it's like, if you're going to buy a player for £65 million, you must have a plan for him. And it seemed like he didn't have, and he's found one for him now, and it's great. My only concern is Mikel Arteta has only actually bought technically one centre forward, if you like, and he's not really a centre forward, Gabriel Jesus. And now, because of where Kai Havertz is playing, he's playing Gabriel Jesus. When he played him, he's playing him wide. He's either playing him wide left, or today you brought him on wide right. And it's like, he's your only centre forward, and you're playing him as a winger almost. And it's like, it kind of concerns me that you could see today in that first half, the one thing that we were missing was a fox in the box, if you like, for a better term, who would have put some of those chances away, right? And Kai Havertz is doing a great job, but he's not in the box enough, is he? He's playing deeper, because that's what a false 9 does. And when Gabriel Jesus has played that position, he's playing deeper, and now he's playing wide. And it's like, are we ever going to see? And then, we see Man City play. Their centre forward scores 4 goals today. Yes, 2 penalties, fair enough, but he scored 4 goals today. He's going to win the Golden Boot for 2 seasons in a row. And it's almost like, it feels like that's what we need. It feels like that's what we need. But Mikel Arteta doesn't seem to want that, does he? And the fact that Kai Havertz is doing so well in that position makes me think, are we going to go out and buy an Alexander Isak in the summer, or whoever it might be that people have been mentioning for Arsenal? Is Mikel Arteta going to do that now? Because Kai Havertz has kind of got that role sorted out now, and you can't play Kai Havertz as a false 9 and also play a number 9, a proper 9 as well. That won't work, because who would you leave out? You'd have to leave out one of your 2 wide players, and we get a lot of goals from that way. So he's not going to do that. So almost like it's Kai Havertz or Gabriel Jesus to play that false 9 role. I don't think Mikel Arteta wants a 9. Do you think we're going to buy a striker now or not? I mean, not just because of this current form, but I don't think anyway. You look before, he's not bought one, has he? He's not bought an actual number 9 in 4.5 years. 6 transfer windows he's had? And I don't think he's going to do this summer. Do you think he will? Or do you think that he's going to maybe try and adapt this system that he's using a little bit more?
Do you know what, Rich? I think he will. I think he probably did. Maybe he thought he didn't need it before. And despite Kai Havertz's form in that position, he may have looked at Haaland over the last 2 seasons, because City used to play the same way, didn't they? They never really had a designated forward or a centre forward. But now he's seen what Haaland has done in the last 2 seasons, and he might be thinking, you know what, I think we probably still do need that player. Because there was this happens pretty much every game, and you must have noticed this, Rich, where one of our players is darting forward, maybe from the wings, and they're clear, but there's no one following up. Not one player. If you've got a hungry forward like Haaland, they would be there, someone to pass to. I mean, there's been. I can remember in the last few games we've had probably 4 or 5 chances where the ball has gone across the goal mouth, but there's no one there to tap it in.
Put in.
And if you're there, it's one of the easiest goals to score in your career. Yeah. It's just to tap it. You just got to get contact on the ball, and it's 99 times out of 100 going in the net. So I think in that respect, you're right. I've got a feeling he might do, because to be honest with you, there is an issue with Jesus and injuries. I'm not so sure. I think there's a chance he might go in the summer. I've got a feeling. I don't do transfers and I don't like to talk about it. But if you were to really push me and ask me, I wouldn't be surprised. Let me term it that way. I would not be surprised if Jesus leaves this summer. I've just got this feeling, because I think Arteta may be going for a striker. It might completely break the mold of what we think. I think he might do. But if you ask me if I think we need one, yes, we do. We do need that other option. Even if it's not a player that's going to get on every single game to start with, we need that option, because you know why, Rich? We're in the Champions League again. And it showed, didn't it? Although we got to the quarterfinals, which isn't a bad attempt for Arteta's first go at it. Not too bad. I mean, to be honest, I didn't expect anything further than the quarterfinals. So I don't think we've done too badly. Of course, I wanted winning everything, but when you try and look at it realistically, it wasn't bad. But you were right when you just said that Aston Villa game was ploughed in the middle of those two, and it was a distraction. I think that's why he was trying to rotate and change, and it completely backfired on us. We're going to need those extra players, so that potentially we could, even if Jesus stays, we could potentially rest Havertz and get the striker playing instead, or Jesus, or whatever it might be. We're going to need depth, Rich, if we're going to compete in the two big competitions next season. And of course, for me, it's three big competitions, because the FA Cup, I love. I've got such a romance with it. It's still my favourite competition. I'd love to win that again. There's a blooming chance, I said this through gritted teeth, that those lot might be only one cup behind us after this year's FA Cup final. And I don't want that.
They're not going to beat City, are they?
Yeah, I know. But it's a cup final, Rich. Anything could happen. Anything. Well, I know what you're saying. But I think we still need a bigger squad. Now, I'm sure they're going to get rid of 5 or 6, 7 fringe players. They've got to. We've got no choice, especially with all these rules now with the financial fair play. So we've got to get rid of, offload quite a few players. And I think hopefully we'll bring in 2 or 3 major players to just bolster that squad. Not necessarily because we need them for the Prem, but we definitely need them for 2 big competitions. And a striker has to be an option, Rich. Has to be for me.
No, I 100% agree. And I think if you were to ask most Arsenal fans, that would be the one position that we'd really want to see strengthened in the summer, would be an actual striker. I mean, for me, Alexander Isak would be the perfect player. I think he would fit us almost perfectly. He's such a great player, and I think he would be the Haaland for us. Yeah, I'm not saying necessarily score as number of goals that Haaland does, but I think he would be as had that same sort of impact on our team now that Haaland's had on Manchester City in the last 2 seasons. I really do. And I would love us to sign him personally. That he would be my choice. But I'm starting to worry that the style that Mikel Arteta is developing, and it's developed certainly since Christmas, the way we've been playing, it doesn't suit a number 9. It doesn't suit a number 9. And if you've got a player like Isak, you're not going to leave him on the bench because Kai Havertz is playing as a false 9, are you? That would be crazy. However well Kai Havertz is playing, you've got a great number 9 on the bench who's just scoring 25 goals for Newcastle, who have had an up and down season. Let's be honest. I don't know. To me, you buy a player like that, like Man City bought Haaland, and you play them every week. They're in the team every week because they're going to score your goals. They're going to win your games because that Aston Villa game was another example, wasn't it? We had a lot of chances in that game, no one in there to finish it off. Had we had someone like that, we would have probably beaten Aston Villa, and now we would be sitting in our hands with 2 games to play. But yeah, I'm starting to worry that I think we're going to strengthen the squad. I think you're right. We're going to get rid of quite a few this summer. I think it's obvious. Players aren't playing. They're not getting on the pitch. Every week they're on the bench. They're not getting on the pitch. What's the point of having them? You're better off getting rid of 6 or 7, bringing in another 3 or 4, 5 or 6 that can be on the bench that you are going to play. It's just pointless, wasting everyone's time. So I think that will happen. But that's for the squad. For the actual first 11, is he going to bring in a player for the first 11 to maybe unsettle it a little bit? Or I don't know. I'm not sure if he will. I think he's got a very settled idea of what he wants. I think he's almost got that in his mind now. And yes, the only thing I think he's going to look at is a few backups that are better than what he's got on the bench who he doesn't trust. I think that's what the strategy is going to be. I personally feel that I don't want it to be. I feel as though that maybe what they'll be looking at is boosting the squad in terms of better, not so much better players on the bench, but players on the bench that Mikel Arteta trusts more to do a job than the ones he's currently got, because Eddie Nketiah doesn't hardly play anymore. Smith Rowe doesn't play anymore. Vieira hardly ever plays. You know, all these players on the bench. I mean, Cedric's not even on the bench anymore. El Nenny's not even on the bench anymore. So they're all going to go. That's a lot of players out, and they need to be replaced, because otherwise we won't have a big enough squad. And we've been lucky this year with injuries, as you mentioned before. Saliba's had a pretty much injury-free season. Gabriel's played nearly every game. Declan Rice has hardly been it. I think he's been injured at all. I think he missed one game with illness, and that's about it. You know, and are we going to be as fortunate again for all our key players to be fit for a whole season? Maybe. We can't guarantee it, though, can we? So we need to have a better options.
Not with our luck, Rich. Not with our luck.
No. Absolutely not. So you can imagine what's going to happen. Declan Rice, 3 games in it. I mean, look, we lost Timber, didn't we? First game of the season. Well, it's just the way things go for us, isn't it? That tends to be how it goes. But when we lost Timber in
the first game, he only saw him play. I was at that game, and I saw him get injured as well. And I thought, oh no, look, he looks so good. And do you know what? I've just had a counter thought. What I said earlier, from what you're just saying, you brought up Timber, and I'm wondering, I think he's going to be left back. I think he's going to play in that left back role. Absolutely. And I think he will team up very well with whoever's in front of him. I think we've suffered on the left because it's been disjointed. We haven't had a proper pairing. Like with the right, we've had a consistent White and Saka, haven't we? And then Odegaard running the triangles between the two. So we've had that consistency. On the left, we haven't. You know, we've had Martinelli, Trossard, Havertz, Jesus, you know, all sorts of players on the left. And even at the back, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, and then, of course, Kiwior. So there's not been, but if Timber plays as well as we think he's going to, for starters, and he doesn't get injured, I think he's going to cement that first place on the left, which means there's a bit of consistency there. And then I think actually that might improve whoever's in front of him. They may, as a result, convert more goals, which then kind of falls into what you're saying, thinking he might not think he needs that, you know, proper scoring centre forward. I don't agree with that. I think we do need that player, again, simply because we've got too much to do. We've got 4 competitions. We just cannot keep playing 13 or 14 players all season. It's not going to work. If you've seen that stat, out of the top 7 players that played the most minutes, 6 of them are Arsenal players, Rich. 6 of the 7. That tells the whole story, and that's with, you know, it's crazy when you think about it. I think that was just for the Prem minutes; it wasn't complete for the whole season, but that tells its own story, doesn't it? It tells its own story. Yeah. So we can't have that season after season after season. Players, you know, it doesn't matter how strong and fit and amazingly you are built to be resistant to injury. You're going to have a rest at some point, and then a lot of our players go on international duties as well. So, you know, we've got to get those players in. We have to get a striker, whether it's part of his plans or not. He's got to look at it. But you're right. The only one that breaks my heart in those lot that you mentioned is Emile Smith Rowe. It's going to break my heart. I love that guy so much. And but you know, he's got to go, Rich. He's getting nothing. He's getting no chances. And it's going to curtail his career. It's going to really harm him. And I just want the best for the kid now. It's not about me being a biased Arsenal fan and only seeing him as an Arsenal fan, because I think he is an Arsenal fan. You know, but you know, he's got to look out. He's got to look out for his career. He's got to move on. He really has to move on, because this is not fair at all.
No. I agree. I almost want him to leave now for his own sake, because I don't think he's happy at all. You know, you can tell by his whole demeanor when he's, you know, interviews and stuff. He doesn't look happy, and I think he needs to leave. And yes, it will be sad because, you know, we love our academy players being a success in our team, don't we? And it's a shame when any of them leave. But yeah, no, I do think there's going to be a clear. And you're right. I mean, I think one of the reasons why we've had those 6 players that's played the most minutes in the Premier League is because Mikel Arteta doesn't trust his squad players. He doesn't trust them enough to rotate the team enough. And he'll rotate. Well, he's been rotating the left kind of wing position, hasn't he? Martinelli and Trossard have sort of swapped over quite a bit recently. I mean, Trossard's been playing more games lately, and Martinelli was playing more earlier in the season, and he's rotated there. Yeah, the left back's a big problem. The left back is a massive problem, because I think Mikel Arteta wanted Zinchenko to work there, and it clearly hasn't worked. So he's tried other options. He's tried Kiwior, who is more of a centre back than a left back anyway. So he was always going to struggle against certain opponents, and he has done. I think Tomiyasu's done. I thought Tomiyasu played pretty well today, actually. But Tomiyasu's done well there. But again, it's not his natural position, is it? And I think you're right. I think Timber's going to come in next season as the left back, and that may well strengthen up that side of the pitch. And then, like you said, on the right, we've had obviously the relationship between Ben White and Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, as you said, and we can look at that on the other side. And it's not, that's where maybe we've been lacking a little bit, haven't we? We're very one-dimensional. We've become very one-dimensional down that right-hand side, and down the left-hand side, not so much. And I kind of feel, I felt a little bit sorry for Martinelli, because he suffered a little bit, hasn't he, by playing in that position, because of, for that reason. If he played on the right, he would maybe be getting, his performance levels would have been higher, I think, because he would have had those consistent relationships. So I think that's a big problem. I think Trossard's come into there and done well, actually. He scores more goals than Martinelli. He's quite lethal. He's got 16 goals, Trossard, this season. Incredible. But yeah, I think that's that. I agree. I think that's what's going to work. But that still leaves. I mean, if you think about it, before Christmas, when Kai Havertz was floating around, Eddie Nketiah was getting a lot more time on the pitch. He was starting a few games. He was coming on the bench quite a lot, playing as that number 9. And then what's happened since Christmas, since Dubai, maybe what they worked on over there, Kai Havertz is playing in that false 9. Now you don't see Eddie at all. You very rarely see him. He comes on with maybe 5 minutes to go if we're winning a game, or maybe if it's a tight game and he might be able to get a goal, which he won't. But we're hardly seeing him now, are we? And yet we were seeing him quite a lot before Christmas. And now Kai Havertz has took that role. This makes me think that we've got a number 9 technically. I know Eddie Nketiah's not great, but he is a number 9. Yeah. And he never uses him. Is he going to buy a number 9 now? He's found this system that clearly works, because look at our results. It works, there's no doubt. But what happens if Kai is injured? What happens if Saka's injured? What happens if Declan Rice is injured? What happens if Odegaard's injured? We don't have anybody that can fill any of those roles at the moment, do we? What would we do? What would we do? Because even if only one of them was injured, and the centre-back situation, Saliba and Gabriel, who have we got? Kiwior is a centre-back, but he's never played at centre-back. So would we want to rely on him for 10 games if Gabriel was out? I wouldn't feel comfortable. We saw what happened last season when Saliba was out. We had Rob Holding. Who have we got this season to play there? Ben White would have to drop in.
Yes, he would.
He was a disaster at centre-back when he played there before. And that would worry me as well. And
that would be unfair on him as well, because he's got used to his right-back position. He's loving it and he's revelling in it. And then all of a sudden to then switch back to centre-back, I don't think that would work. I don't think so. Even if he was good at it, eventually it would take time, and we can't. You see, look, we're so far. That is my concern. That is what. If you ask me what the concern is, no matter how well we have performed this season, my concern is we are so finely tuned, Rich, that one thing that goes wrong, you got the machine full of cogs, and with us, even the smallest cog, if it malfunctions, that's it. The whole thing falls apart. That's how fine-tuned we are. That's where we're different to Man City. Man City could probably lose 3 or 4 of their main players, and they'll still be all right. We don't have that. We don't have that level to come in and literally just slot in and just carry on as normal. You know, as you said, we lose Odegaard in a match, I'll be like, oh no, Odegaard's not playing. We lose Saliba, I'll be like, oh no, Saliba's not playing. It's not like, that's all right. We've got cover there. What's the big deal? It's all right. If Vieira was really, came on and he was absolutely brilliant, I think, well, it doesn't matter. Odegaard's not playing, but Vieira can fill in for him. But you can't think that way. There's only maybe 1 or 2 positions where if you lose a player, like for example, I think Jorginho's done a good job. So if you lost Partey or Jorginho, we've got one to fill in. That's not too bad. And of course, I know Martinelli hasn't really been on song this season, but we've got Martinelli, strokes Trossard to fill in that position. But how many other positions across the pitch can you say that, oh my God, if we lose one of them, what do we do? We've got to buy some seriously good players this summer. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to maintain this, I don't think.
Do you not feel a little bit, O'Neill? And I 100% agree with that. And that's exactly how I see it, that we're such a finely tuned machine that we can't afford any of those parts to be missing. And that you can't sustain that. That's not sustainable for a long time. It isn't. It's all right over a short period of time, but as soon as one thing goes wrong, and we've had this problem before, and I think it's almost difficult to strengthen the squad in the way that we need to, in the way, say, Man City have done, because Mikel Arteta, we don't know, maybe Fabio Vieira could have been an ideal replacement for Martin Odegaard, but he's not played him enough. And when he does play him, he hasn't played competitive game for months. And then you throw him in, of course he's going to need 4 or 5 games to get up to speed. Of course he is. And he's not getting that. So he's out of the team again. And the same with Emile Smith-Rowe, particularly Emile Smith-Rowe. He looks miles off the pace because he's playing 1 game every 6 months. Of course, he's going to be off the pace. And this is the problem isn't necessarily the squad players aren't good enough. The problem is Mikel Arteta doesn't trust the squad players enough, so he hasn't used them enough. So when we do need them, they're not ready to play a competitive game. And it would worry me massively now going into the Man United game next week if there was some sort of, I don't know, some sort of illness goes through the squad and Saliba can't play, Rice can't play, and Ødegaard can't play. Because yes, we've got players who can play in those positions, but they're not ready to play a game like that at this point in the season. They're not ready to. And guarantee we'd lose that game if that was to be the case. We would lose. 100% we would lose. And this is what worries me. This is what worries me. That it isn't necessarily about the players on the bench not being good enough. It's about Mikel Arteta giving them the responsibility in this team to do the job that their counterparts are doing so well at this moment in time and for the last few months. And it is a tough one because why change something that's working? Don't make changes to your team, but you need to have your players on the bench ready to play if they need to, because injuries can happen anytime to anybody and you can't guarantee they won't happen. Even Bukayo Saka's had to miss a game this season. He hasn't missed a game for about 4 years. Even he's had to miss a game this season because of an injury. So it can happen. And I just think our problem next season is going to be how we can manage that better. And how Mikel Arteta, and is it going to be we need to completely buy a lot of new players that are going to fit, or Mikel Arteta trusts more to do those jobs, or we're going to have the same problem again where we're picking next season we'll have the same 6 or 7 players playing the most minutes in the Premier League because he's too frightened to leave him out of the team. And I think sometimes it is. I think he's frightened to leave Saka out of the team, regardless. He's frightened to do that. Martin Ødegaard does get a lot of free passes. He doesn't always have an impact on the game. Declan Rice should be captain, to be honest. Martin Ødegaard, he's another one that will never get left out of the team. Some of them shouldn't be left out of the team. Saliba, you're always going to pick him. Gabriel, you're always going to pick him. Rice, you're always going to pick him. Partey, if he's fit, you pick him, don't you? They pretty much pick themselves. But there's a few players where he's frightened to leave him out, I think. And he's frightened to use the squad, thinking, oh my God, if I take Martin Ødegaard out and put Fabio Vieira in, or if I take him out and put Emile Smith-Rowe in, and we lose the game, it's almost like he's got that fear, hasn't he? And you can't do that with your squad. You've got to have faith in them. You've got to show you've got faith in them and pick them and give them opportunity and say, look, I'm going to give you a game here. You're going to play. You're important to this team. What do they do in training? Are they not working on these things? Is it not with Fabio Vieira playing in the Ødegaard role in training so he knows what he's doing in that role? It was the same with Kieran Tierney, wasn't it? Kieran Tierney couldn't adapt to that left-back role that he needed him to play. What was he doing in training? Was he not practicing in training all the time to get used to that role? I don't know. And this is what's always worried me about Mikel Arteta. You talk about Pep, he's got a great squad, but he's also a bit more adaptable. He's more flexible. He can make those changes. He's done it bringing Haaland in, for example, and he makes in-game changes when he has to. And that's what Mikel Arteta, if Mikel Arteta is going to take anything away from Pep now, it has to be that. It has to be more flexibility within his structure. He's got to be more flexible. He's got to allow more for change and use his squad players more. Give them that time, I think, because I think that's going to start holding us back. I don't think what we're doing at the moment, I don't think sustainable.
No, it's not.
Because we're not using it's not sustainable. I don't think. No. Not in the way that Man City have sustained it for 5 seasons.
No, it might carry us for the last 2 games. Hopefully it does, because we need it to, for sure. I completely agree as well with you that at the end of the day, I've always had that adage: if it's not broken, don't fix it or try to fix it. Just keep to the same. But as you said, you can't sustain it season after season, right? And I think I can. While Arteta may have missed the trick there, which I think he has, he should have tried a few of the other players, throughout the season and even last season as well. Maybe he should have done. I think the other thing we got to remember, and that's not through his fault, but the amount of pressure that a team like City puts on other teams. They did it to Liverpool. They're probably driving the fear of God into him, because he knows that at the moment this team is working, and if I make a change just to give another player some minutes and it doesn't work, and we drop even 2 points, even a draw, that's it, we're out. So that, can you imagine the amount of pressure that puts on someone?
No, I think now is different. Earlier in the season, when we had the opportunity to do that.
That's what I meant. Early, could have done. He right. That's the bit that annoys me. If we look back on this season, the thing that annoys me, he decides not to play Gabriel. He makes Partey a blooming inverted right back. And he's trying all these different roles for Havertz. And look, you said, why did it take him half a season to realise? But what annoys me is we actually played Havertz in the 9 or the false 9 against City in the Community Shield, and he actually played all right. And we also played him the home game against Man City, I think he came on as the false nine, and he done all right. So hang on, the signs were already there. So why does he wait until after Christmas or after the break in Saudi, wherever they went, for them to realise, oh, actually, let's start playing Havertz in the 9? Because he'd already had signals that he's far better there than he is at the 8. Because when I play him at the 8, poor blooming Partey, well, he wasn't fit then, but if he had, he'd be playing at right back. I mean, it's just nonsensical. So early in the season, where he was experimenting, he should have actually experimented with our other players rather than putting our existing players in different stupid positions. So
that's what I'm saying. I think it's a trust issue with those players in the squad. He doesn't trust them enough to play them anywhere, and he'd rather play, like you said, he'd rather play Partey as a right back so that he can shuffle Havertz into midfield rather than actually thinking about it. Well, actually, I've got a right back in Tomiyasu. If I want to play someone else at right back, play Tomiyasu at right back, and then we can play a proper player in midfield who can actually play that role, whether it's Jorginho, whether it's Emil Smith. I mean, Emil Smith-Rowe is a better 8 than Kai Havertz is. And he's never really trusted him in that position. He'd rather play Kai Havertz at the 8 when he's no good at the 8. It makes no sense. This is what frustrates me with Arteta. It frustrates me so much when it's things that seem, okay, we're not at training. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes and all this kind of stuff. Fair enough. But just looking at it from a fan's perspective, it makes no sense, some of those decisions. And in the end, we dropped some points in the first half of the season that may come back and bite us now. It's not just the Aston Villa game. The Aston Villa game is going to stand up in our minds because it's the most recent one. But our form since Christmas has been champions form, absolutely 100%. It was before Christmas where we had the problems because like you said, playing Havertz in that position so many games, that's cost us points. It has done. Absolutely, it's cost us points. And now we've got to play catch up in a way with Man City due to some of those reasons. And I don't know.
Let's say a little bit of positivity. I didn't realise this, but we I don't know if it's the record, but we've been in the lead. We've got 100% record of being in the lead at half time. So 17 games that we've won, we were leading at half time in those 17 games, and we've won them all. 100% record. So at never any point in the season where we've been leading at half time that we've ended up dropping points. That is pretty impressive, actually. Because I remember Arteta used to struggle with keeping leads. I don't know if you remember that. I mean, most of the times we were always playing catch up anyway, but when he was in the lead, we were then faltering. Yeah. So at least that part of the side of things, he's improved a hell of a lot. And I just hope we maintain that until the end of the season. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good stat, actually. I didn't realise that. But when you think about it, I can't actually think of a game that we've led at half-time and not won. I can't think of too many games that we've led at any point in a game and not won. I mean, the Fulham one away stands out because we led 1-0, but that was very early and it was 1-1 at half-time. And I think there was a Tottenham game where we led twice, didn't we? And they pulled it back twice. But there's not too many you can think of. And, yeah, that's a great stat, actually, and that's quite important as well, isn't it? Because I think you're right. I think we did used to throw away, or not so much throw away. I thought we had difficulty defending leads previously under Mikel Arteta, and now it seems as though defending a lead. I mean, we've got the best defensive record in the league anyway, but defending a lead now isn't. It's a bit like it feels almost a little bit like the George Graham days in that sense that when we go 1-0 up, you never really feel we're not going to win. If we score first, you think we probably the Bayern Munich game in the Champions League was slightly different, but generally, you feel as though if we score first, we're going to win now, don't we? That's what we feel. And
speaking of GG, it's 30 years today that we won the
I know.
I was watching a clip of that, and do you know what? I don't care what anyone says. I know Wenger brought this amazing brand of football to the club. I know he did. It was revolutionary. I don't think any of the world had seen it. It was just so revolutionary. It was so on point. But George Graham won 6 major titles in his spell, including a European trophy, which Wenger actually never could manage to do. And I think
he won.
I know a lot of people.
George Graham won 4 different trophies, didn't he? As well, he won 6 trophies, but he won 4 different trophies in 4 different competitions.
Correct.
And that's incredible.
They go on about Klopp's won everything, but George Graham pretty much did that as well. He won the League Cup, he won the FA Cup. Yeah. We were the first team to do the domestic double in '93. We were we got the European Cup, and if you think about it, we won one season just losing 1 game away to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and that was it.
I know.
So all right, a lot of people branded his style, it's a bit boring, it bypasses the midfield and but at the end of the day, he got results, and I would never ever underestimate or undervalue what George Graham did, because I actually think he set us back on the map of Arsenal being a big and great club. Because before that, we were just languishing mid-table, Rich. We weren't doing anything. We weren't really going anywhere. And he brought us back. And I think he laid the foundations to what then Wenger was able to take it to another level. So,
of course, yeah, absolutely. Because
it
was his defence, wasn't it? It was George Graham's defence that Arsene Wenger built his team on, didn't he? His first couple of teams really on that defence that George Graham had built, and that discipline that they had, and the way they defended. And Arsene Wenger wasn't. He was clever enough to realise that actually, yes, they're getting older, these players, but I can build on that. I can use all that experience that they've got and build something great around it, which is what he did. That's the one thing Arteta maybe didn't do. He had some experienced players when he took over, and he just got rid of them all because he couldn't deal with them. Rather than thinking, actually, I can use these players to help me rebuild my team. And he would have maybe been able to do it a bit quicker like Wenger did, because you use what you've got and then you add to it with your own ideas. And that's exactly what Wenger did so well. But you're right, George Graham is one of the most important managers in Arsenal's history. It certainly modern history, probably is. Arsene Wenger gets all the credit, and of course, what he brought us was incredible. But without George Graham, we wouldn't have had Wenger. We wouldn't have had those Wenger years without George Graham. No, absolutely not. We wouldn't. You're right about that. And I think George Graham deserves a statue at the Emirates.
I was about to say that. You
know, if Arsene Wenger's got one, Herbert Chapman's got one. They are probably the other two most important managers in our history. But George Graham's got to be there. He's got to be as important as those two, surely. Surely he has, and I would put a statue of George. I was surprised that hasn't happened. Actually, I can't believe it.
I mean, he brought our favourite moment ever as a football fan to the club ever. I'm still going to say Anfield '89. It
wasn't just that one moment, though, Neil.
I know.
The Tottenham semi-final, last-minute winner. The Liverpool game in '97, in the '87 in the final. He brought us that. Obviously, Anfield, of course, he brought us that. That season, like you said, we lost one game to Chelsea. The only European trophy we've ever won in my entire lifetime. Well, actually, I think I was 2 when we won the first one.
And I was 1.
Yeah, but I can actually remember. Anyway. So, the one European trophy that we've ever seen us win. George brought us that. Nobody else. George. No. Do you know what I mean?
And even Andy Linnigan scoring in that last minute in the Sheffield Wednesday FA Cup final. So
the replay,
there's some good moments. You're right. So sorry, he's up there for me.
No, that's good. I mean, you're absolutely right, and he does get almost forgotten about, and he shouldn't, because he helped to create the club that we are now, the successful club that we are now. You got to think that was the Premier League started, and had we not had the success just before that under George, and subsequently in the early part of the Premier League with the cup wins that we had, we maybe wouldn't have gone on to be able to become the club that we are now and that we became. And I think it is down to that 100%. It's definitely down to that. So yeah, George Graham, Arsenal, if you're watching, get a statue of George outside the Emirates, please. Alongside, in between Arsene Wenger and Herbert Chapman, because he's the link between it, isn't he? Links it all together.
Exactly.
So Graham, you should be there, my friend. You should be there, and do it while he's still alive, please, as well, because he's not getting any younger, is he? So can we please get that sorted before it's too late? Let's get it done. So, but no, it was definitely worth pointing out, because I think you're right, actually, and it's just strange that now we're starting to see a bit of George Graham in this team, aren't we? I say 1-0 to the Arsenal. We don't lose at 1-0 anymore, do we? Like we never used to. We could score after 2 minutes under George Graham. You knew we'd won the game. The other team knew we'd won the game because they knew they weren't going to score.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like that. So it's a bit like that now, isn't it? If we score, it's a bit like Man City. If we score in the first 5 minutes, we've won the game all day long. You just feel that, don't you? I know the Fulham game we mentioned before, but generally, if we score, we go 1-0 up. It's over. It's game over. We know it is. There's been quite a few comments, actually. Mark C says, our form since the turn of the year has been supreme. Well, it's been incredible. It's like our first 19 games last season, we got 50 points. Our last 19 games this season, I don't know how many points, we might get more than 50 points. Incredible. Yeah, you're right. The form's been absolutely amazing. Terry says, can anyone confirm if the rumours are true? Well, which rumours are these? Which rumours are these? I don't know which rumours you mean. You'll have to elaborate on that a little bit. Mark C says, Partey played well and kept getting in the right positions on the edge of the box, but just didn't have his shooting boots on. Well, he doesn't tend to have his shooting boots on very often, does he? Unfortunately. Terry says, Raya back to Brentford in a fortnight's time. No, he's just won the Golden Gloves. Come on. He's won the Golden Gloves, the guy. Come on, he's done well. Mark C says, he got away with one today. The punch to clear was loud. Yeah, I agree with you. He did. It was a goalkeeping mistake for me. Absolutely, it was. Mark C says, Green Hill, the Ryan Christie challenge should have been a straight red. I mean, he was lucky not to have got about 4 yellow cards today, wasn't he, Ryan Christie, in that game? But anyway, he did get one in the end, didn't he? Terry says, to be fair, the refs and VAR was just their usual selves. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much true, isn't it? I totally agree with that. Terry says the refs, VAR and the FA are trying to make it exciting on the final day. They didn't make enough money last season when we bottled it far too early. It does seem maybe, yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from with that. It does seem to be that. Terry said Partey has freed up Rice. Yeah, he has. Yeah, exactly. And I think Jorginho did to a certain degree, but obviously Partey's just slightly better at that job, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's a better player than Jorginho, as well as Jorginho's done. Terry says, to be fair, Neil, 29, in my opinion, is worth 5 million now if we sell him. No. Come on. We've got a Man City fan in, says champions again. Well, you're not quite champions yet, are you, my friend? You are not quite champions yet. You've still got 3 games to play. We've still got 2. Anything can happen. And wouldn't it be quite funny if Tottenham actually won us the league? Wouldn't that be quite funny?
The irony of that.
It would be hilarious, wouldn't it? It's not going to happen, but it would be quite funny, I suppose. Terry says, if 29 is that good, do we need to waste money on a new centre forward? Well, exactly. We're not going to, for that reason, because he is that good, and that's it. So we're not going to waste money on a centre forward. Terry says, now stick with 29 and Eddie and win the FA Cup again next season. I don't think Eddie's playing again, is he? Terry says, everyone keeps saying we need a top centre forward, but everyone names all Isak, blah, 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 but none of them fit our system other than Tony. See, I don't know. I think Isak would probably fit. See, Tony, I don't think Tony is the right character for Mikel Arteta. Do you, Neil? He's a great player. He's not got the right character, has he?
No, it's the character. It's the character. I agree with that. Yeah.
Whereas I think Isak has got the right character and he's got the right attributes as a player. And I think he would be ahead of Tony in terms of what we need, because Mikel Arteta will not buy a player like Ivan Toney. He just won't. He's got too many tattoos. He's had a ban for gambling. He's a little bit out there, and he's a bit of a flamboyant character. Look at all our players; they're very safe.
Well, that's why I'm saying Aubameyang, because he was a flamboyant character. He got rid of him.
Yeah.
So Tony's probably come to some reveal. Yeah. I don't think he will. I think it's based on the character. I think he's a great footballer as well, but I think character-wise, I think he's going to say no. I'm going to not touch that. So
you just look at. I think most of our players are very, very similar in characteristics, aren't they? They're very, very similar. They're nice guys. That they're quite disciplined. That they're and he's not going to buy an Ivan Toney who will come in and probably disrupt things a little bit, because he's going to be a bit like Aubameyang. Aubameyang wasn't going to sit in the corner and be quiet, was he? Aubameyang was going to give his opinion, and that's what Ivan Toney would probably do.
Arteta can't deal with egos, Rich. Arteta can't deal with egos, and if you're right, if you look at all the squad, they're all nice guys. I don't think any of them really do have an inflated ego. They're just any tumble, which I relate to that. I like that, to be honest. I do like that. But sometimes
I do think you need one or two characters as well, though.
Yeah, I was going to say
one or two.
Yeah. It's like you do. Sometimes you do need a bit of that, because I think in essence it could actually help the squad, having a little bit of flamboyance and a little bit of ego. And a bit of cockiness, because in the olden days when we used to watch all the different sports, you had so many personalities, which I thought completely revolutionised and actually brought the game to the TV screens. If you didn't have those characters, snooker without Alex Higgins was nothing. You had the John McEnroes and Jimmy Connors and all of that lot in the tennis. Otherwise, it wouldn't have got the popularity that I think it has now. So I think there is a call for it, but I don't think that's Arteta's style. No, for sure. But
it's not just Arsenal, is it? You look in the Premier League in general now. There's not as many flamboyant characters, is there? Most teams are very. Look at Man City's players. They're not. I mean, okay, Kevin De Bruyne is a great player, but he's not a flamboyant character, is he? I suppose Jack Grealish is probably the most flamboyant, and he never hardly gets picked. So that kind of proves the point, doesn't it? You know what I mean? He's the most flamboyant player in the Premier League, probably in many ways, Jack Grealish, and he doesn't play, and that kind of proves the point a little bit. Mark says at least when Kiwior is at left back, he stays in position and doesn't go wandering like Zinchenko does. All I would say about that is Mikel Arteta wants Zinchenko to play that midfield role. Look at Tomiyasu. He's quite often in midfield, isn't he? When he's playing at left back, he drops in there, and he was getting forward today. When Tomiyasu sometimes it's like playing almost as a centre forward, which is what Zinchenko does. And it's like that's not Zinchenko's fault necessarily. I think he's told to do that as his role in the team, and maybe. His problem is he wasn't able to defend when he had to, whereas at least Tomiyasu can defend there. At least Kiwior can defend when he has to defend. Zinchenko can't. Marty also has Kiwior's a better physical presence. Absolutely, yeah. We kept a good number of clean sheets with Kiwior at left back. Yeah, we did, and we've kept a good number of clean sheets when Kiwior's not played at left back. So I suppose it's just the way it is, isn't it? Mark C says, good result today. Well, it was a great result today, yeah. Mark C says, I'm surprised Saka hasn't missed more games. He gets kicked all over the shop. He does, yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't missed more games, actually. I think he's actually missed 2 this season, in actual fact. But, yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't missed more. Terry says, it wasn't Arteta thinking of jacking it in because he failed last season. Fingers crossed if he doesn't pull it off again. Oh, is that the rumour he was on about before? I can't see that happening. I just can't see that happening. Terry says he has to play 29 because of the money he wasted on him. Well, I mean, I suppose he's got to play a little bit. Yeah.
Do you know, Rich? He never says his name. He just says the 29.
No, he just won't. He can't even bring himself to say it.
He's got so much love for him.
Yes, yeah. It's almost sweet to see, isn't it? It's almost sweet, actually. Terry says, nice guys win nothing. No, I agree. Nice guys probably don't win anything. There's a song about that, isn't there? Terry says, bring on first loser again next season and no cups. Well, let's see. I mean, I've got to be honest with you. I never, ever thought this club would be able to win anything major under this manager, right? And I'm starting to think now that maybe if he can be slightly more flexible, use his squad more, we need to improve that squad as well. I don't see any reason why next season we can't win something. And I think we have to win something soon. We can't carry on. Yeah, we have to. Yeah.
Sorry.
We do.
Otherwise, we're going to lose these good players. The good players we have got, we're going to lose them because they're going to think, hang on a minute, we're good enough to win things and we're not. That's the other thing. That's my other worry. One worry was that we're too finely tuned. My other one is keeping the players that we got, because if we go again this season and just miss, and then next season it happens again, it's like, hang on a minute, these players are going to think, right, I'm starting to get a bit of an age.
Do you not think a little bit though, Neil? And I do agree with you, but do you not think a little bit? What we mentioned before, these players, they seem, the ones that are playing week in, week out, seem really, really happy, right? They seem really, really happy. They love Arteta. You can clearly see, right? We've got 14 players in our squad that would literally, they would throw themselves in front of a bus for Mikel Arteta, right? They absolutely adore him, right? And they seem, as a group, they seem happy together. The players seem to get on, right? And I'm not sure if they would leave. I'm not sure if just winning trophies is the key thing for a lot of these players. And I think that's because we lack players with that winning mentality. We lack a few of them. And maybe this is why maybe a lot of them won't leave, because I think they're happy with where they are. They're enjoying their football. They love the manager. They love their teammates. They love the environment that they're in. They love playing at the Emirates with the crowd and all this, that and the other. And whether we win or we don't win, I don't necessarily think that's going to be the deciding factor for most. Some of them it will. Some of them it will. I think Declan Rice is a winner. I don't think he'll hang around for more than 4 years about winning a trophy. I think he's going to want to win stuff. But it's not too many, is it? I don't look at too many of them and think you're a winner. You're like an out-and-out winner. I don't see that in too many of it. I think Havertz actually is, funnily enough. I think he's got that attitude to me. He's won trophies in the past in his career. I can see that in him, that he's a winner. Declan Rice is a winner. Zinchenko, I'm not sure. He waves his arms around a lot. Erdegaard's good at getting the crowd up, but is he really a winner? Has he got what it takes to be, win at all costs? Just do anything that you need to do to get your team over the line. And I think that's what we're lacking a little bit. So I don't think many of those would leave. Ben White's not going to go anywhere. Whether he's basically got himself out of the England squad. He's not bothered, Ben White. He'll stay because he's happy, right? He'll definitely Saka probably won't go
anywhere.
anywhere.
Ben White though. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, I do as well. But he's not going anywhere. He won't leave. I can't see Martin Odegaard leaving, regardless of trophies. He's really, really happy. He's not going to go anywhere. Kai Havertz seems happy. I can't see him going anywhere.
I get that. Yeah.
William Saliba's one. I think he's going to want trophies at some point in his career. William Saliba.
I think he's hungry.
Yeah, I think
I actually think Gabriel is as well.
Gabriel. Yeah, well. I think those two. They're the two biggest. They would be the two ones for me that I would think they would be the two that could leave for that reason more than any of the others. I think they're quite focused and I don't want to call them selfish, but more like focused on winning. That's what those two are about, aren't they? And I think you need that as defenders anyway. So I can see those two being the type that might well think about, hang on, Saliba particularly. I think Saliba would, if he got an offer for it, if we hadn't won something for the next 2 seasons and Saliba was to get an offer, I think
he'll be off.
If it was a club that's winning trophies, I think he would be one. I could see him going. But most of the others, I actually don't think they would. I really don't. It's quite winning enough. I think they're happy in the environment. And I think that's important. It's good that we've got that environment, but I think sometimes you need to be a little bit more ruthless. You need to be more ruthless and you need to want to win more. You need to want to win more than be happy in the environment. You need to want to win more.
Well, it's what Terry said. It's what Terry said. Nice guys don't win nothing. He's right.
Look at the Invincibles. Look at the Invincibles. I got a feeling some of them players didn't particularly like one another necessarily. Did they? I've got a feeling that they didn't.
No,
You know what I
no,
mean? And
no.
I got that feeling about them, but you didn't care because it just worked.
They
And they just
fought for
wanted
each
to win
other
and
as
wanted to win
well.
and wanted to win.
Even if they didn't like each other, they still fought for each other, which was good to see, because they, at the end of the day, the ultimate end game was them winning something. So,
whereas I think the ultimate end game with this has always been under Mikel Arteta. We're a team
Family.
together. We're all in it together. The end goal isn't necessarily. I think winning trophies would be a bonus, and I suppose it is a bonus anyway. You can't take it for granted. But
no,
as a professional sportsman, that should be why you get out of bed in the morning to win.
I think so as well.
To win everything that you can possibly. It's a short career.
I wouldn't bother entering if I'm not entering to win, and I'm not bothering entering. There's no point. I don't see the point, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the driver, isn't it? That is the driver. If you going into a Scrabble competition saying, "Oh, I'm going to get knocked out in the first round," then what are you bloody entering for then? There's no point to it for me. So.
No. And I'm not saying Arsenal aren't trying to win it. I'm sure Arsenal. I'm sure all the players are trying. You can tell the way we're playing at the minute.
Yeah, they are.
But I don't think that's the ultimate thing to decide how happy they are and whether they want to stay or not. I don't think that's for most of them. I don't.
I didn't quite see it that way. I think I was just getting overly panicked about it because I was thinking some of these players are still very young. They're very good, and surely they're going to at some stage want to have a winner's medal in at least one of the three major competitions, if not in this country, maybe in a different country. So that's the only thing that was like worrying me a little bit. But yeah, when you put it like that, potentially, possibly. But I think at the end of the day, Rich, time will tell, won't it? We'll see at the end of next season where we are. I don't think any of the squad's going to be broken up. I think they've done really well together. And he said they're happy, and we can only do what we've done. And if we win the last two games, what more can we have done? Apart from maybe a couple of mistakes earlier in the season, which you can't really legislate for, because even City lost games. They're not completely unblemished, are they? So, and that's the competitiveness of this league. It is a very, very difficult league to win. But yeah, I think come at the end of next season, let's see where we are. But I think we're going well ahead of ourselves, aren't we? It's just me. Sorry, I brought that up.
No, we are. No, but I think that they're all. It's stuff that we need to. It's easy to. We're in a title race with a couple of games left, right? It's easy to get tied up in all of that, isn't it? And just think, oh my God, we got to win these next two games, and Man City are going to lose, all this kind of stuff, right? But actually, we need to look at the bigger picture as well, because I don't believe what we're doing at the moment is sustainable over a 4 or 5 year period of time. I don't think it's at the moment. We need to work on that to make sure it's going to be sustainable. And also as well, I think we need to look at those things, because it's no good having 2 good seasons where we just come short and think, okay, that was nice. But it needs to be a sustained period of success, and success ultimately does mean trophies. It doesn't mean coming second. That's not success. It's better than it was, and it's an improvement, and we're happy that we've improved, but it isn't success, and we need to get that out of our head. We've achieved no success under Mikel Arteta yet. We've improved, and we've gone from being 8th place to challenging for the title with 2 games to go, which is a massive improvement. But it's not success until we start winning some trophies, whatever those trophies are. Winning something is you can look back on it and say, we had success because between this year and that year, we won 4 trophies. Like we did with George Graham, we just said he won 6 trophies. That's success. Arsene Wenger won all those great league titles, all those FA Cups. Right? That's success, isn't it? And Arteta so far, what's he won? 1 FA Cup with the team that he inherited. He's won nothing since he's produced his own team. And that's not success. I'm sorry, it's not. So it's an improvement, and it's great and everything else, but it's not success. Man City are having a success, and unless they drop some points in the next couple of weeks, they're going to have a bit more success as well, unfortunately. Just before we finish, Neil, Man United, obviously, next week, we have a terrible record there. We haven't won there since 2000. We won there once since 2006, which was in the COVID season where there was no fans in. Are we going to go to Old Trafford and win next week?
Short answer, yes. If we don't, like what you said, have an illness which suddenly wipes out half our team, God forbid. I think we got too much for them. I think they are a poor team. I don't know how they're where they are in the league. I know you always say that the table doesn't lie, but I'll make an exception for them because I don't get it. They should be more close to where Chelsea are. I don't think they play particularly well. They've just somehow managed to be where they are. I think this time will have too much for them. However, I remember when David Moyes was in charge and they were absolutely abject and we still lost to them. So I'm not going to take anything for granted. I'm not going to be complacent. But at the end of the day, Rich, we need to win. We can't draw. We have to win. So we've just got to stay positive. I think there's probably never a better time to play them, to be honest. I think if our players are professional, they're not complacent, they don't make any silly errors like Raya did with against Tottenham or anything like that, I think we should be too strong for them, and we'll probably win. I actually think we'll even keep a clean sheet. I'll go with 2-0.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, that would be great. I mean, I do think what's in our favour is the fact that Man U in the FA Cup final.
That's
going to
right.
be that's going to be on their mind as well. 2 weeks after we play them, it's not, you know. And I do think teams that are in a cup final that aren't going to be winning a league or challenging for much. Yes, they're still on the brink of getting qualified for Europe and stuff like that. So it's not like a complete write-off game for them. But
do they not get into Europa if they win the FA Cup, or is that gone now? That used to be a thing, didn't it? Or am I wrong?
I don't know what happened, because obviously Man City win the league and win the FA Cup. Does that mean Man United would qualify for Europe anyway as runners-up in the FA Cup?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm not really sure how that works anymore, because I know there's you've got that Conference League place. Seventh league gets that, don't they? I don't know about the FA. What's happened in recent years? The FA Cup winners have also qualified for the Champions League anyway, so you're never really sure, are you?
No,
you never because even last season Man United obviously lost the cup final to Man City, but they finished in the top 4 anyway, so they're already in the Champions League.
True.
So, and this season they might not be, so we might find out. I don't actually know the answer to that.
I think you make it.
No, I'm not sure. You won the FA Cup. You got in the Europa League, didn't you? Before?
I think you did. I'm sure you did. I'm 100% sure you did.
Yeah. You did,
I think you make a good point, though. I think they're going to have that as a distraction. I hope they do, because for them that is their game now, isn't it? Really,
it's their cup final.
Exactly, and it is the cup final. And you know, how can you not be happy for that? And they've got a great record in it, as only second to us. So actually, that might work. I didn't even think about that, Rich. So no, I definitely will go with my 2-0 now. I feel more confident with it. 2-0.
No, I must admit, that came to my mind when we were just talking about it there, and that actually makes me more confident now, thinking that I do think that's going to be a distraction. It is for every team that gets to a cup final, unless you're Man City, because they don't have distractions. No. They're not allowed distractions. They just don't, do they? But I think for Man United, it will be. I think it will be, because they've got really nothing too much else to worry about, have they? No. All the players not want to get injured. You're not going to want to get suspended for the cup final. No. You may even make some changes to the team for that reason. So yeah, I think if ever there's a good chance for us to go to Man U and win, it'll be next week. Yes. It's not often that's ever been the case, because we never do very well there. But I think this might be. I think it does seem as though in a lot of recent weeks, I've been feeling this, that it's all it's all going in our favour. We're playing teams that maybe haven't got a lot to play for, so they're easier games. We're playing. Man United have got a cup final. We played Chelsea just after they'd lost in a semi-final. We played them 3 days later after they'd lost, and that always has an impact on your next game. And we played them at a good time. And I think we've played some games recently that I think have come at a good time for us. We're playing teams at a good time for us with the opposition, and I think that could be the case again on Saturday. Of course, Everton as well. Last game, they're safe. They've got nothing much to play for. Last game of the season, quite often at home we win 5-0. It generally what happens. So that game's not a problem, and that seems to have fallen nicely for us as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so funny though, just from a fate point of view, which is obviously probably not going to work out this time. But Wenger won his title with Everton at home. He won a title playing Spurs away, which we just had. He won a title playing Man United away, which we're going to have. How weird is that? Yeah. It could have happened if we hadn't lost those points earlier. Any one of those could have repeated potentially, because they were so close to the end of the season. We're almost like writing off and assuming that Man City are going to win. The probability is they will win all their remaining games, yes, but you never know, Rich. You were saying earlier, anything can happen. They might get a red card, which isn't a red card, and it might unbalance them one game, and they may drop points, even if it's just a draw. They might sustain a really horrific injury or something. Wouldn't wish that on anyone, but I'm just saying something could go wrong, and in our favour, you just don't.
You know what happened, O'Neill? You know what happened, O'Neill, right? Man City will draw, say, with Tottenham, right? They'll draw. And then on the last game of the season, we've got like a 4 or 5 goal difference swing. And then they'll end up winning like 12-0 on their last game of the season.
Yeah, probably.
and still beat us to the league on goal difference. That's what happened. I'll bet you. Yeah, we'll beat Everton 5-0 and think we're 5 goals up. We've just got 5. And then we in Man City have won 12-0. They scored like 8 goals in the last 5 minutes or something.
It's so true, isn't it? It's so blooming true.
I bet you. But anyway. I've always said to say, we can't control what Man City do. No. Let's just win our 2 games, and that's all we can do. And if we win our 2 games, it's not quite enough. Hopefully next season we can learn from the drop points and mistakes that we made earlier in the season, and we can come back stronger like we did this season. We've come back stronger than last season, and that's all we can do. Everyone says, well, Man City are this great side, Man City are this, Man City. Yes, they are. They're a very, very good side. They're a fantastic side, right? We all know that. but we just need to be the best that we can possibly be.
Yeah.
And I think this season we've done that. This season we've done that, and I think we can all be whether we come first or second. Last season coming second was a failure for me because of the position that we were in. We threw it away. However strong Man City were, we threw that away. Some of them results, Southampton
didn't even need to beat Man City, and we would have won it. That was the worst part.
Yeah, exactly. We should have waited last season. This season we can't really have done any more. And I think we've given this has been the best that we could be. And if it's not good enough, we need to look to improve next season. Don't just think, oh, Man City are too good. No, we want to improve. We need to improve next season.
Exactly. Spot on.
Be able to take that step. That's what. And this season, I've got no problem. If we win the last 2 games, if we lose them both, then I think we've thrown it away. We've bottled it.
Yeah, I agree as well.
But if we win our last 2 games, we've done all we can do, and we just need to look at ourselves and say, right, we need to improve on this, and this next season if we're going to be able to beat this Man City team, because we're close. Look how close we are to them. Even if we come second, we're close this year, aren't we? To this team that everyone says is the best team ever, and look how close to them we are. So we can do it. We can do it.
Yeah,
we can, and we should have beat them last season. We had that lead on them, and we blew it. This season, we're so close. We're ahead of them at the minute, but we're so close to them, aren't we? So
do you know what? My dream before I draw my last breath is if we could ever retain 1 title, because that's something we haven't done since the 30s. Is that right? Yeah. You and I have never seen it, but to retain a title, that would just be. I mean, obviously, winning a Champions League would be great because we've never done that, or one of the top European competition. But to win 1 title and then retain it, wow! I mean, God, City could end up doing 4 on the trot, which has never been done before. It's just like ridiculous.
And I think that's the little thing that is driving them on, because they can create history that probably no one will ever do again. Let's be honest. I don't think anybody will do that again. It hasn't happened since the start of Football League in 1888. It's never happened. No one has ever won it 4 times in a row. And they're so close. They're 3 wins away from creating, like we were. Remember when we was going invincible and we had 3 games left and we'd already won the league. But it was so important that we created that historic event, because no one would ever do it again.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And Man City have got that to drive them on. And even if they were miles ahead of us in the league, I don't think it would matter. It's that creating that bit of history, isn't it? And
that's mental, though, isn't it?
When that's there, that gives you the biggest motivation ever to know that you can write your name in history forever.
And it's even more poignant because that's the back off winning a treble. Can you imagine that? Won the treble, equal Man United's record, and then they're potentially going to win the double and create history with winning 4 in a row. I mean, it's just, what can you say about that team? There's nothing much, and you're right. For us then to be so close to a team like that, that's not a bad job, really. It's not. We haven't done bad.
And it just goes to show that it's doable. It is doable.
It is doable. You're right.
Liverpool proved it was doable. They didn't manage to do it. They did it once in that season when Man City were a bit off it. But Liverpool showed it's doable. We've shown it's doable. And it's going to give hopefully other clubs look at it and think, you know what, it is possible. Man City, yes, they've won the league maybe 4 times in a row, but they can be beaten. They can be beaten. It's possible. And I think that, that's what we have to take away from this season, going into next season. So we can do it. We need to improve certain things. Yes, we do. We need to be better.
Lovely positivity from you, Rich. It's brilliant. Great to hear.
We're top of the league with 2 games to play.
Yeah, man. Of course we are. Come on.
You know what I mean? How many times have we been able to say, when was the last time we said that? We were top of the league with 2 games to play.
When we went 2004.
It's it. 2004 was the last time.
That's mad, isn't it, when you think about it? That is mad. You watch Fever Pitch, the film. And he's going 18 years, right? Bleep years. Well, it's been 20 now.
I know.
It's even worse.
And that was the most it had ever been at that point. And now we've beaten that with 20 years. I know. It sometimes doesn't seem that long, does it? I don't know if you feel that.
No, it doesn't.
Feel like we haven't won league for 20 years.
It's unbelievable. It's gone so far. I still remember us being Invincibles it was yesterday. I remember it.
I do. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is mad to think. I mean, you watch like highlights of the games, you see a goal from the Invincible team or Thierry Henry doing something amazing or Dennis Bergkamp, and that feels like about 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago, man. 20 years ago. It's
my God.
Where's the time? Honestly, where's the time gone?
I don't know. I don't know. And I'm sure both of us didn't have so many grey hairs then. I'm sure we didn't.
No, I actually had hair then. I did.
So did I.
When we last won the league.
What do you think I wear a hat? I'm covering up the full patch I am.
I think I probably had hair when we won. Actually, no, I probably didn't even then. Actually, to be fair.
sure you'd had some hair. Well, at least it was.
In '89, I had
wasn't-
hair. In '89, I had hair. I don't think I did in 2004. Actually, I think it had gone before then. But anyway, it doesn't seem 20 years ago. It does not seem.
Crazy. It's so fast. It's scary.
Yeah, you think about the European thing. 30. That doesn't feel 30 years ago, does it?
Ridiculous. I still remember going mental at Smudger Smith scoring that goal. Oh, I was like, because we were such underdogs, weren't we? Because they were brilliant. It was Palmer, wasn't it? They were so damn good then, and they were actually the holders because they'd won it the year before. And then we would have been the first ever team to retain it if we weren't for blooming Nimes halfway goal.
Well, there was a few problems that night, but yeah.
There you go. There's the other thing. George Graham also got us to the final the next year. Let's not forget that.
He got sacked before, though, didn't he? He got sacked before we got to the final.
Oh, was he not there? Oh, you're right. He wasn't. Of course.
Stuart Houston took over, didn't he? Because he got sacked in about the February time, didn't he? That season. Yeah. We were terrible in the league. We finished 12th in the league that season. You know, it was just bad, disastrous. Yeah, and then obviously we got to that final and we should have won it, as we know, and we didn't. And then we got Bruce Rioch for a year. That was fun, weren't it? Well, and then obviously Arsenal arrived
and that all seems like yesterday. I still remember thinking Bruce Rioch's our manager. Wow, it's like another George Graham because he was like Scottish kind of sergeant major kind of person.
Yeah, I think that's why they went for him actually because he maybe adds a few characteristics of George, didn't he?
Exactly that.
But he wasn't the right fit for Arsenal, was he at all?
I still think he was a stepping stone. I think already by that time, David Dean was in the picture by then. Wasn't he?
David Dean wanted Wenger the year before,
but he couldn't get because you know what Wenger was like. He would never dishonour a contract. So he wanted to see his contract run out. And then, so I think the plan for Wenger was already there, and Rioch was literally just a stepping stone in my eyes. But you know, I know it's probably David Dean that done it, but we got in under his tenure. We got Platt and Bergkamp, and I think there was another signing that helped us. But yeah, I mean, we still. I think we finished 5th under Rioch. Was it? Was it 5th?
We did,
Not bad. It's not bad.
We got in Europe. No. I mean. We actually didn't have a bad season under Rioch. I mean, there was obviously issues. Ian Wright put in a transfer request and one thing or another, and clearly there was. I don't think Bruce Rioch was the right fit for Arsenal. No. And I mean, look at his career after he left. He didn't exactly go on and have great glory, did he? Anywhere else, he struggled to get a job after that, didn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was. But you're right. David Dean had already wanted Arsene Wenger to replace George Graham. That's what he wanted. But yeah, you're right. He wouldn't leave his contract. Wenger wouldn't leave his contract in Japan. No. So he had to wait. And it was worth waiting for, though, wasn't he? To be fair, he was worth waiting for. Mark C says 30 years ago today, that was beating Palmer. It would have been about this time, wouldn't it? When, Smudger probably banged in that goal.
Yes, that's right.
30 years ago, we wouldn't have been sitting here doing this. We'd have been jumping about, going mad and enjoying life, really. But
exactly.
Anyway, that's what happens, isn't it? As Mark C says, yes, United will go. They will go into Europa. So is that anyway? Even if they lose the cup final, they're going to Europa now, will they? Regardless, or is it only if they win it? Because obviously, if Man City win it and win the league, that must create an extra European spot, mustn't it?
It's true. Yeah.
But I don't know whether it'd go to them. I'm assuming it would because that used to be what happened, didn't it?
That's what used to happen.
Sure, it did, didn't it? If the team that won the FA Cup won another was in the Champions League already, whatever it was, the Europa League, that place went to the runners up, didn't it?
I think so, Rich. I think so.
Sure, it did. But anyway, we'll have to see. Terry says, if we don't cock this up next weekend, will you and Neil do an end of season show? Absolutely, of course we'll do an end of season show. 100% we will. Hopefully we'll have some good stuff to talk. We'll have some good stuff to talk about anyway, because it has been a good season overall. But not a successful season because we haven't won a trophy. Well, if we don't win a trophy.
I agree, Rich. I agree with that.
So we will definitely do that, yeah. Whether it'll be the following week, could well be. Why not do it after the Everton game, the week after the Everton game, maybe? We'll have to look at that, won't we? Terry says, a great show tonight, Richard and Neil. Love listening to you two talking rubbish about 29. He said, one good thing, 29 is banned for the next game. So there seems to be. Is he banned? What for? He might be because he has got a lot of bookings lately, actually.
Oh, is he? I didn't know that.
That's a problem then, isn't it?
Yes.
We're talking about missing players.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's not good news. Actually, I actually don't like that.
I'm upset with that.
We'll have to. I wasn't aware of that. Actually, I wasn't aware of that. We'll have to. We need some clarification. If anyone's got clarification, is Kai Havertz banned from the Man United game? Because he did get booked today. No, I'm sure that isn't that over that number of bookings that you get. Isn't the deadline for that passed?
That's what I thought.
Oh, is it? I don't know now. Oh,
that's not good. That is a worry.
It wouldn't be good. Terry says, anyway, London is finished. Sadiq Khan got back in. He did actually get back in, yeah.
Oh, God, he did, yeah.
So all I would say is if you live in London and you're still living in London in 4 years, then, well, fair play to you, because I'm glad I got out when I did.
Oh, my goodness.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse now, isn't it? Let's be honest. 4 more years of him absolutely ruining the city. But anyway, what can you say? Mark C says, great show, lads. Roll on next week. Indeed, roll on next week. We're all looking forward to that. Oh, yeah, Terry, you said that one there. And yeah, 30 years ago, yeah. So, yeah, brilliant stuff. Well, Neil's gone for 2-0 at Old Trafford. I think we'll win now. I'm convinced we're going to win. I think we'll probably. I'll go 2-1. I think we will concede a goal. Probably
wins a win. Wins a win.
Crappy goal, but I think we'll win because the FA Cup final won anything. But if Kai Havertz isn't playing, I'm a bit concerned about that.
I'm a bit worried as well. Yeah, me too.
What would we do? Do you think? What would we do? Who would play false 9? Jesus play false 9?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe Jesus come back in. Yeah, that's it. That's
Trossard, maybe play Trossard there. Trossard.
And then Martinelli on the left. Yeah, maybe. Not a bad shout.
Well, we'll see. As long as we win, I don't really care. But we'll see. No,
me neither.
Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. It's been great to all your comments and stuff like that. Great to see Neil again, of course.
Thanks for having
me. I'm back tomorrow. I'm back tomorrow for the women's game. At 2 o'clock, I'll be here. Man City against Arsenal, which obviously it's a big fixture in the men's game. It's a big fixture in the women's game as well. Man City about to win the league in the WSL as well. So we could stop them doing that at least maybe tomorrow. So we'll see. So join me for that one at 2 o'clock. I say always a pleasure, Neil, to have you on the channel. And I say we at the end of the season, we'll definitely do an end of season show. Adam will be definitely interested in coming on as well. So we'll get Adam on, try and get Lee on as well, and make a big song and dance about it. So that'd be good, won't it? So we'll get that sorted out as well. I say I'm back tomorrow, and then of course we've got a fairly quiet week, haven't we, to build up to Old Trafford. So it's going to be exciting, isn't it? Can we actually win there finally for the first time in what seems like forever? Who knows? We have to. Anyway, thank you for Wolves anyway for doing what we expected you to do and being crap as you normally are.
Absolutely
so well done to Wolves.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, we kind of knew, didn't we?
We expected it. We expected it.
But anyway, but yeah. So it's going to the last game. I think that's obvious. It is going to the last game. It's going to be exciting, isn't it? And we're involved. What more can you want? To be involved in a title race with 2 games to play. Brilliant stuff. So let's win it though now, please. Can we actually try and win it? I know.
Keep believing. Come on.
Yeah, we can do it. Let's just win Old Trafford first. Let's win there first, and then see where we are and hope for the best. That's all we can do in it. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to give us a like. See you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Thanks to Neil. Thanks to all you guys in the chat. And of course, as always, come on, you guys. Let's get it done. See you later, guys.